You know how when you were a kid and your parents had enough, they would give you that stern look and they would tell you, now that's enough. Or they'd say, knock it off. It's kind of like where I'm at with this whole situation that we're going to talk about today. Like, enough's enough, okay? That's enough. Guys, seriously, knock it off. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to this 164th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be a very short podcast. Want to just come up here, get a couple of things off my chest, get in, get out, and get my Friday and my Memorial Day weekend kicked off. I was able to take the young prince to his grandparents' house for the weekend. So me and the missus have the entire weekend to ourselves. And if you have children, then you know just how precious this time is. If you don't, you will never really be able to grasp and understand what I just said until you find yourself in this situation that I'm in right now. So I am beyond elated, excited to get my weekend started. And I want the time to go past as slow as humanly possible. So this is going to be a short show so that I can get into my weekend. And I'm not going to be selfish. I want you to get into your weekend as well. Hopefully you've got something planned and you're going to get into something fun this weekend and enjoy the festivities, whatever that may be. Maybe you're just kicking it at the crib. There's got to be a cookout somewhere that you can attend. I don't think the weather is actually going to be all that cooperative this weekend, though. It seems like it's a lot of wet in the forecast for the weekend. That's not going to stop us. All right, ain't no stopping us now. We cooking out. I don't give a shit. Rain, sleet, snow. We getting some burgers up on the grill. So I'm looking forward to having a really fun and relaxing, probably more so than anything else, weekend. So anyway, I digress. Not going to keep you here long. This is going to be an In-N-Out show. Just like In-N-Out Burger, In-N-Out show. In, out, and we're done. So let's get to the proceedings this evening, shall we? Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So obviously, if you've seen the thumbnail for this video, then you know what this whole topic is going to be centered around it. And the gem dropping theme of the day is enough is enough, okay? I've had it up to here with this chicanery. And it's not just limited to Brandon Jacobs, okay? We'll get to him in a second. But I want to kind of take this overarching approach first before I narrow my focus to Brandon Jacobs. What is it with athletes that they just, and I get it, and we've talked about the psyche aspect of this before because I told you I have a little bit of a psychology background, so I know what goes into guys not wanting to let go, and I understand it, especially boxers, which is really frustrating because we've seen it over the years with guys that just don't know how to quit, and in a sport where you actually are taking shots and blows to the head if you're not adept at protecting yourself. If you're not Floyd Mayweather, then you've been beamed up upside your head a million times and sustained a bunch of concussions. Boxers take just a ridiculous amounts of punishment to their skulls, and for them to continue to want to do it is asinine, but they can't shake that feeling that they have, one, that they still think they can do it at the level that they used to when they were young, spry, and in some of the best shape of their lives. Their brain is telling them that they can, but their body is like, no, the hell you can't, dude. Stop it. But they're usually the last to find out. And it's been sad as a major fan of boxing over the years to see Roy Jones Jr. Out there trying to fight a shell of himself, getting knocked the hell out and all kinds of nonsense. Evander Holyfield was a legend of the sport, out here because he's got 29,000 kids. He wants to keep fighting, it's a shame. You know, in the case of Roy Jones, I don't know what he's done with his money, but I'd like to think Roy Jones made a ton of money and he's still got a lot of it left. I don't think he's doing it for the money necessarily. But again, I can't say what he's done with his money, but he was making good money at HBO as an analyst. You know, he made a ton of money in terms of his career and what he was and as a fighter. And so I'd like to think his was less about money, more just about the adrenaline rush and the thrill he got from fighting. You can't replicate that. We've heard guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning talk about how, you know, you can't replicate that rush you get when you hear the roar of the crowd and all of those things. And Manning said, look, if you can play, continue to play. Like, trust me, take it from a guy that can no longer do it. You're going to miss it once it's gone. Well, you hear that from athletes all the time. That said, somebody's got to be able to make sure that they tell these guys when to say when. You know, friends know when to say when. Somebody's got to be able to tell these guys no. Like Oscar De La Hoya, it was, you know, trying to come back and fight again. I'm like, Oscar, bro, stop. What the hell are you doing? You too old for this shit. And I'm like, you're running Golden Boy Promotions. Like, you got a gold mine over here. Go do that. Okay, go run that. Stop trying to get back into the ring. But this is what happens when someone sees one person doing something and they feel like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. They feel entitled, like, if he can have that, then I should be able to have that. Everything ain't for everybody. Let me say that again for those of you in the back, maybe a little hard of hearing, or maybe your ears are a little clogged up. Let me say that again. Everything ain't for everybody. Just because one person does something doesn't mean you can do it, okay? And that really frustrates me. It really bothers me because it's one thing when it's little kids. They don't understand. They see little Johnny going down the slide. They want to know, why can't I go down the slide? Johnny got to do it. Johnny got a gold star. Why don't I get a gold star? You got to explain that to a 5-year-old. Look, dude, okay? As they get older, hey, everybody didn't get a participation trophy. Okay, everybody didn't get, you know, a juice box, a bag of chips, and a gold medal. Now, not everybody's gonna get one of those. Okay, you have to win. But when they're little, they don't understand that. It's all about fairness and equality, and yeah, that's awesome when they're kids. You gotta teach them though. But when you're a full-blown adult, you're a grown-ass adult, that really irks my nerves because somebody does something, you want to do it too. And you feel like because that person did it, I should be able to do it. Well, no, their situation is different from yours. Whether they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that can get them in, they know the plug, or they are just in a better position than you are to take advantage of an opportunity that you're not. Whatever the case may be, I hate when people knock the next man to elevate themselves. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to take someone, demean them to elevate your status? If you have to do that to make yourself feel better or to make your situation seem better than what it is, your situation is sad, is what that is, okay? So that brings me full circle. And we've seen T.O. try to come back multiple times. Let it go. You might be in tremendous shape. Doesn't matter. I can find a guy in tremendous shape that's 14 years younger than you and much cheaper than it's going to cost to bring you on board. So, why and much less of a headache, too, by the way. Why would I bring you on board? Doesn't make any sense. Let it go. So that brings me full circle to Brandon Jacobs. Old Brandon Jacobs. Or as a wise man used to call him, the old tiptoe burglar, Brandon Jacobs. So the thumbnail for the show highlights Brandon Jacobs essentially talking about wanting to come back to play football. And again, I don't count anybody else's coins, so I don't know what his financials look like. I don't care. That's not the point of this discussion. But, you know, sometimes money and the need for it does prompt people to do things that maybe they normally wouldn't do. That said, and put that aside for a second, he posts on socials yesterday, hey, I'd like to come back and make a position switch and play in the NFL. And initially, I'm like, oh, he's joking. He's ragging on Tim Tebow. He's trying to make a joke out of it. Everybody's got something to say about old Timothy Tebow, so he's no different. Then he's like, no. I'm serious. I'm not playing around. I actually want to make a comeback, and I want to switch to defensive end. I'm in tremendous shape. And I'm like, bro, how old are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm 38, but wait, stop right there. There's no glossing over that. You're how old? You're 38, and you want to come back and play a totally different position than you've played previously in your career. So you want someone to give you a chance at 38 to come back and play a different position, take the time out to teach you that position at 38 years old. That's what you're trying to get someone to do. Okay, all right, I'm processing this. It doesn't make much sense to me, but I'm processing it. Then he goes on to say, hey, if Tim Tebow can do it, stop right there. Let's hold on, time out. Let me get a 30-second. What does Tim Tebow have to do with you wanting to come back and play in the league? Just because Tim does it or is doing it currently doesn't mean you can do it. Do this on the strength of Brandon Jacobs. Don't drag Tim Tebow into this. He has nothing to do with this. He got an opportunity because he knows the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trust me, if the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach was Matt Campbell and not Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow wouldn't be on the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. Now, would he? There's a relationship there. That's how he got this opportunity. Stop begging for opportunities and then using somebody else as a platform to then push your agenda. Let's resume the comment. So if Tim Tebow can do it, I can do it. I'm a much better athlete than Tim Tebow. Time out. 30 seconds. Again, what does Tim Tebow have to do with you? He's playing a different position. He has nothing to do with your situation. You are a good NFL running back. Not great. You are a good NFL running back. What makes you think you can make a positional switch to defensive end at 38 years old? And what makes you think somebody wants to give you an opportunity to make that position switch at 38 years old? I don't know. Resume comment. So he says, I'm a better athlete than Tim Tebow. I'm ready to sack the quarterbacks. I'm ready to sack quarterbacks out there. He said tackle, sack quarterbacks. Interesting. So I said all of that to say this. You want to come back. Has this itch been here this entire time and you just wait till Tim Tebow does it to say, well, he's opened the floodgates, I should go now? No, he hasn't opened any floodgates. There won't be a bunch of 30-somethings, late 30-somethings getting an opportunity. We know what the NFL stands for. Not for long. Let's compare the two. Since you want to bring up Tim Tebow and use him as a crutch for your argument, let's compare the two. Tim Tebow is 34 years old, trying to come back and play football. He's trying to make a position switch from quarterback to tight end, one that he has tried, but I think it was a very feeble attempt. Not much effort was involved. Also, and I said this a long time ago, nobody said anything about it when I said it. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's talking about it. I said, don't you think if Tebow is on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster, he's going to have a Taysom Hill role? Can't you see that, though? Nobody responded to that. It was crickets. Now, all of a sudden, yesterday, when Brandon Jacobs has this whole thing, they slip out Tim Tebow may be playing in a Taysom Hill role. Well, duh. No shit, Sherlock. Did you really think he was going to bring him on as strictly a tight end? Just like Taysom Hill, who plays tight end, fullback, H-back, personal protector, quarterback, you name it, he does it. Gunner. That's probably, and I don't know if he's going to use Tim Tebow in all of those variations of roles because he's not the athlete that Taysom Hill is. But one thing we know Tim Tebow can do is he can run the ball. And contrary to popular belief, he can throw it too. May not always be the best, but he can throw it. So in my mind, I'm saying, well, you got a quarterback that can actually run. You don't really need Tim Tebow. The reason that Taysom Hill worked in New Orleans was because Drew Brees wasn't running any damn where. You just drafted a quarterback that has wheels and he can use him now. He's not running anybody over like Taysom Hill. He's not 255, 260 pounds like Tim Tebow or Taysom Hill, but he's, Trevor Lawrence is a big enough dude, and he can slide. We've seen him slide before. Get out of harm's way. But he's got wheels. He can run. So you don't need to bring in a less faster guy to run the same stuff. But if it's 3rd and 1, you don't want your star quarterback sticking his shoulder in there and being physical, because when you have the quarterback running the ball, as we all know, you add an extra blocker to the run game. So it is beneficial to have the quarterback run. So on 3rd and 1, instead of Trevor Lawrence lowering his shoulder and trying to power forward for a first down, you could just have Tim Tebow do it. Take a shotgun snap, get somebody in front of him, and he plows through and gets the first down. Makes sense to me. Oh, by the way, Tim Tebow hasn't played football in X amount of years, but there's not a lot of mileage on the Tim Tebow odometer. Last time I checked, he didn't play a ton of football. He didn't take a bunch of hits, not in the NFL at least. And so his body should be in fairly good shape. It's not the normal NFL 34-year-old body. This is essentially what I'm getting at. Meanwhile, Brandon Jacobs, who was an NFL running back for, let's call it 8 years. I don't know how long his career was, but let's call it 8 years. He probably spent a good, 6 years, maybe 5-6 years with the Giants, and then I think he ended his career in San Francisco with the 49ers. Let's call it an 8-year career. Battered and bruised, a big physical, running back, easy target to hit. Probably took a bunch of blows, a bevy of shots to his knees, this, that, and the third. And so your odometer looks a lot different than Tim Tebow's. Not the same thing. I just struggle with people who can't do things off of their own merit, on the strength of their own name, that have to try to do something off of the backs of someone else or other people. And I struggle with, hey, he's doing it, so I should be able to do it. And I'm a much better athlete than he is, so I should get an opportunity. That has nothing to do with nothing, which has nothing to do with nothing. Those two situations are mutually exclusive, because Tim Tebow's getting an opportunity doesn't mean Brandon Jacobs should get an opportunity. Doesn't mean Terrell Owens should get an opportunity to play in the league again. They're not one and the same. That man is doing something totally different. And again, the head coach and he go way back. That's why he's getting the opportunity. Not that it even matters. Not that that even matters. If somebody random wanted to give him a chance, he put feelers out there that, hey, I'd like to come back and make a positional switch. And the Patriots said, hey, we'll give you an opportunity to do that. Okay, so what? Doesn't mean all of a sudden Brandon Jacobs, 38-year-old Brandon Jacobs, should get an opportunity to make a position switch and play defensive end. A position he's never played a day in his life. Give me a break. Enough of this shit already, guys. Enough is enough. Cut it out. Your career's done. Celebrate your career and what it was. Move on to the next phase of life. You want to come back? All right, do it yourself. Let teams know. Put together a workout video. Leave Tim Tebow out of it. Leave other people's names out of your mouth. Let them decide if they want to bring 38-year-old Brandon Jacobs onto their roster to help him learn how to play a different position, which makes absolutely zero sense. None whatsoever. Because at least Tim Tebow adds value to the team if he were to make it. Because he can be put into different packages. He can do different things. If Brandon Jacobs is coming back to play defensive end, what else is he going to do for you? Is he going to run down on special teams? Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. At the end of the day, I'm so over this, man. Enough. And this is not just, as I said at the top, this is not just Brandon Jacobs related. He is a microcosm of what I feel like is a disease with athletes who can't let go. To the much broader and bigger point here. When it's over, it's over. let it go. It's hard. I get it. It's hard as an athlete, especially when you've been a really good one and at the peak of and at the height of your popularity and fame, you're one of the best in your particular sport. It's hard to let it go. But you gotta know when to say when. I'm so glad that Dana White didn't let Oscar De La Hoya fight. I get so mad at these commissions, whether it's Nevada. Nevada's usually pretty good about not letting oldie but goodies try to fight. But, you know, you go to New York and New Jersey and they'll let anybody fight. They'll give anybody a license to box. And I'm like, why would you? The guy is 99 years old. Why would you do that? Now, you know, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm not stopping somebody else from making a living. They want to, you know, abuse themselves, send themselves to an early grave, have a one-way ticket towards Alzheimer's. That's their problem, not mine. But sometimes there's something about human decency where you say, you know what, I got to protect someone from themselves because they aren't smart enough to do it themselves. The league is going to protect Brandon Jacobs from himself, okay? The league is going to protect him from himself. They're not going to give him an opportunity. Tim Tebow hasn't been battered and bruised through a 9-year NFL career, whatever it was for Brandon Jacobs. He's got a lot left in the tank if he wants to contribute and if they want to give him a chance to contribute. If he comes in and earns a roster spot, I don't understand why this conversation is being had. So much Tim Tebow hate. I will never understand the disdain that people have for Tim Tebow. So what? He's getting an opportunity. Why does everyone feel the need to have Timothy Tebow's name in their mouth? I don't get it, and I probably never will. But it won't stop me from being annoyed by it and talking about it because it just doesn't make any sense to me. I digress. Kevin the PRF, I see a comment. He says 9 years, only played 2 games for the 49ers before re-signing with the Giants for his last year. There it is. So 9 years in the league for Brandon Jacobs. I don't understand. And, you know, and some of these boxers, you know what was crazy? That Roy Jones and Mike Tyson had that little exhibition. So then all the old boxers came out of the woodworks like, hey, I want to do that. No, stop. Evander, go sit your ass down. Oscar, sit. Sit, Oscar, sit. Everybody's not Mike Tyson. Nobody wanted to see Roy Jones Jr. That was all about Mike Tyson. That was all about Iron Mike. And I saw it once. I can't speak for anybody else. I saw it once. I don't need to see it again. That was cool one time. I'm done. I'm good. I digress. I'm done. I thank you guys for joining me here on the 164th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Before we get to our next segment, let's first take a quick break and give you a read from one of our sponsors. You are tuned into the Louie T Network podcast. I will see you on the other side of this break. Enjoy. I want to take this time out to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louie T Network podcast. Manscaped has the right tools to get the job done quickly, safely, and hygienically. Father's Day is just around the corner, and you probably need a gift for your hairy dad. Make sure your dad is proud this year and get him and yourself the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 and Ultra Smooth package. You know what they say, like father, like son. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 and Ultra Smooth package is perfect for you and the dad in your life to complete your grooming game. Let me give you a little bit more information on both of those outstanding products, starting first with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is now available in both the U.S. and in Canada. So what makes this waterproof trimmer different from all the other trimmers? This 7,000 RPM trimmer features skin-safe technology to keep your balls in check and has helped reduce manscaping accidents around the globe. A new multifunctional on and off switch can engage a travel lock created for jet setters. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Additional guard lengths with sizes 1 to 4 let you trim to your liking. Then you get to the Ultra Smooth package. Comes in 3 different steps to take care of your family jewels. Step number 1, the Crop Exfoliator. Infused with ingredients that can soothe, clear, and keep the skin on and around your groin feeling refreshed, reducing the risk of ingrown hairs by your delicacies. Gotta keep those guys nice and safe. Step number 2 is the Crop Gel. See where you're shaving with Manscaped's unique clear shaving gel just for your groin. And step 3, now it's time to clear out the bushes. Time to shave. The Crop Shaver now comes into play, which was designed for shaving the groin area with confidence. 3 precision blades, including extra wide lubricating strips and a pivoting head for the ultimate groin grooming experience. All 3 of these are vegan, which you know I love because I am vegan. Cruelty-free and sulfate-free products are included, so you know your manhood is in good hands. Stop imagining your dad has it covered because he probably doesn't. More likely than not, he probably doesn't, okay? Get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the promo code LouieT. That's 20% off plus free shipping when you use the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. This is the perfect package for you and your dad's perfect package. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com when you use the promo code LouieT. It's dad bod season. Time to get smooth. And trust me when I tell you this, your dad and your balls will thank you. I was reading y'all comments as I was watching it. I didn't even know I had the mic still on and y'all could hear my phone call. I apologize for that. But Manscaped is everywhere, man. You can't go anywhere without seeing them. They're taking over the game, and they're doing a hell of a job of just planting seeds everywhere. So no matter where you go, you're going to hear about Manscaped. And the fact that you guys can admit that you can't go anywhere, especially on YouTube, and not see Manscaped means that they've oversaturated the market, which can be a bad thing at times, but it's a good thing because you know their products. If nothing else, you know their products, you know what they're about because you see them all the time. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into In Case. Is Canton bound? After a 24-year career, he calls it quits. He did that, I think about 3 days ago on the Pat McAfee show, where he announced, and remember they were teammates in Indianapolis for for I think the entire length of Pat McAfee's career. Adam Vinatieri was the place kicker there. You know what I didn't realize is that Adam Vinatieri spent more years in Indianapolis than he did in New England, where he probably made his bid for the Hall of Fame. Spent 10 years, his first 10 years of his career in New England, and then proceeded to spend the final 14 in Indianapolis. Did you realize it was that long in Indy? I knew it was a while. I didn't think it was that long, though. I thought it was like maybe 8 or 9 years. I didn't realize he spent 14 years, 24 total in the league, 14 of which was in Indianapolis. Nonetheless, #1 scorer in NFL history, 4-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, and some of the most clutch kicks in NFL history, including the game winner in the 2001 Super Bowl against the St. Louis Rams. That one was in 2000, actually. I think that was 2000. And it was 2001 because they won the Super Bowl in 01, 02. Nope, it was 02, 03. No? Because they won 3 out of 4. 01, 02. They didn't win it in 03. Then they won it again in 04. I think that's how that went. Why do I feel like they won it in 05? Anyway, I digress. He's going to the Hall of Fame. And you know what I was thinking to myself is when he gets in, I think they should make it a a point of emphasis to go ahead and open up its doors to special teams, because he's getting in the Hall of Fame. There's no way he's not getting in. I don't know if he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer or not. I don't know if they might just try to have that kicker biased or whatnot, but I'd like to see Devin Hester get in when he gets in. If you're going to let Vinatieri in, go ahead and let Hester in too while you're at it. Go ahead and kill two birds with one stone. So I know that has nothing to do with Adam Vinatieri, but I just thought it bear mentioning. If you're going to let him in, you need to go ahead and let Devin Hester in too, the greatest return man the NFL has ever seen, and a dynamic game changer as a special teams player. I think it's time they go ahead and let Devin Hester in as well. But cheers to what was a ridiculously efficient and magnificent NFL career for Adam Vinatieri. 24 years in the league. And again, some of the most clutch kicks. The tuck rule kick in the snow, the game winner versus the Rams, the game winner versus the Panthers in the Super Bowl. Vinatieri was clutch, man. And he's going to go down as probably the most clutch kicker in NFL history. In case you missed it, Tua Tagovailoa says he wasn't comfortable in 2020. I think we saw that. I think we kind of got the gist of that, but you could see he wasn't comfortable. He says, quote, "My cadence, my pre-snap reads, my post-snap reads, I wasn't comfortable," closed quote. Yeah, I think we kind of saw that. And I don't know what that speaks to, a lack of preparation on his part. The game just was too fast for him. I don't know what that speaks to. But obviously, if he's admitting it, he's in a much better place mentally now. And I think he feels like he can better process things in year 2 than he did in year 1. Because if you're struggling with that, you don't bring it up until you feel like you've conquered that or you've mastered it. You don't want people saying, hey, he's still struggling with those pre-snap reads, still struggling post-snap, seeing what the defense is trying to do. So hopefully he feels good. It's hard to really gauge that right now because no games have been played. He's not seeing, NFL defenses, looking at him in one defensive look and shell pre-snap and then shifting to something else post-snap and him maybe being fooled. So I hope he didn't prematurely jump the gun here by divulging information that he didn't need to divulge, because let people draw inferences for themselves and say that he's struggling pre-snap and post-snap. You don't offer that up because, again, if you come out of the gate struggling this upcoming season, they're going to go back to that quote and say, yep, he's still struggling with pre-snap and post-snap reads. He doesn't have any confidence. He's not comfortable. He said it last year. He's still not comfortable. Don't give them ammunition to use against you. So hopefully he's in a much better space this year and he's able to live up to the billing of being the number 5 pick in the NFL draft. In case you missed it, salary cap can go as high as $208 million next offseason. Remember, the salary cap is down to about 181, 182, somewhere in there right now. It's the lowest it's been in probably well over a decade, I would say. And I might be way off on that. Feels like the salary cap goes up every single year, and it's been steadily increasing for the last 7, 8, 9 years. I don't know when the last time it was at $180, but that's where it was this year, a massive dip. And teams were struggling to get under the cap, and that's why we saw so many cap casualties and things of that nature. But some moves were made with the cap increasing to a huge level in mind. Like Jerry Jones giving Dak Prescott the contract he gave him was an indication that, hey, we expect the cap to shoot back up next year. So I'm willing to give Dak his money because I know I'm going to get that and more of it, next year. That and then some next offseason when the cap balloons because they got that new TV money flowing in. So I expect it can get as high as 208. Doesn't mean it will get to 208.2, but that is as high as it can get I expect it to be somewhere in that $205 to $208 million range next offseason. We'll see what happens, though. And then finally, in case you missed it, Zach Ertz and the Eagles are at a stalemate. He's played his last down in Philadelphia. I think we can all agree on that. He hasn't shown up to any of the voluntary camps. He doesn't plan on showing up to any of those or the involuntary OTAs. I don't think he's showing up for training camp. He wants out of Philadelphia, and I think the rest of the league knows it. And because the Eagles, and this is why the Julio Jones thing was a problem for the Falcons, because when everyone else around the league knows that your back is up against the wall and you've got to make a move, I'm not giving you any, unless I truly love the player that's available and I don't want to have to fight with other 31 teams around the league for his services. I'm just going to wait for you to release him. And then I'm going to make my move. Not giving you any draft compensation. I'm not taking on his current contract or any of that. I'm going to wait until you do what you are probably going to be put in the position to have to do, which is release him. And then I'm going to pounce. And that's why you never want to give up the leverage of teams knowing what the situation really is. Even if you can't stand a player and he's got to go, they can't know that. They can't know that this is what it is. But generally, like I've said, and I've said this multiple times, if you're willing to ask a player to take a pay cut, or if you're willing to tell a player he can seek a trade, that means you're willing to release that player. And everybody around the league knows that as well. So the Eagles, to their credit, haven't said, hey, we're trading Zach Ertz. Like, they've already said, like, we want Ertz back. They don't want Ertz back. He doesn't want to be back. They had an opportunity to re-sign him during the season last year, and they passed. And so Ertz is like, all right, well, let me out. And they're like, not exactly. We don't have to let you do anything. I think it's going to end with Zach Ertz being released sometime in the summer. Probably, it could be as early as next week, post June 1, but it could be closer to camp, maybe even after camp. But I think this thing could linger on into the summer. But Zach Ertz has played his last down in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. I feel that to be the case. So, got a super chat here from Silver V. My guy, Silver Villains. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Silver V writes, in your opinion, is Jamal Charles a Hall of Famer? No, he is not. A good running back, not a Hall of Fame running back. Rich wrote, Hester, B. Mitch, Cordero Patterson all deserve to get in. I would not put Cordero Patterson in the Hall of Fame, but B. Mitch and Hester definitely deserve to be in. Brian Mitchell, for those of you unaware, is second in NFL history in all-purpose yards, only behind Jerry Rice. That's it. So I don't understand how he's not in the Hall of Fame. When he retired, he was the best kick returner in NFL history. He's been since then surpassed by Devin Hester, and he was second on the list. I think he was number one on the list of all-purpose yards, and then Jerry Rice passed him. So for me, I just don't understand how this guy isn't in the Hall of Fame. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is Hester needs to get in, and we know Vinatieri is going to get in. You got to start letting some of these special teamers in, man. They got to take that wall down and start letting these guys that have earned the right to be in the Hall of Fame as special teams contributors to get in. I'm not saying you got to let Slater or Steve Tasker in the Hall of Fame as gunners, elite gunners, or Bill Bates. But these guys that were dynamic with the ball in their hands, they need to be recognized. So thank you for that super chat, Silver V. And I agree with you to an extent, Rich. I don't think Cordero Patterson should be on that list, however. All right, let's wrap up the show with garbage time. And garbage time for me is just me simply talking about the war room, the draft war room, and how I am fascinated by it. I could watch hours upon hours of draft war room content. It never gets old. It's always entertaining. It's so fast paced, and you have no idea what is going on in these war rooms as picks are being made. It's amazing the amount of information that these guys have to process, and then have to be willing to take calls and try to make things happen in that time frame of their selection. It's a lot of moving parts. You get a lot of phone calls from teams that might want to move up or might want you to move back, and I can't get enough of this stuff. So I don't know if you guys saw the video that was circulating earlier on after the draft had met its conclusion, but I think it was the Broncos GM, George Patton. Might not have been. It might have been somebody else, because I don't remember if the Broncos made a trade at all in the draft. I know they didn't trade their first round pick away. They took Patrick Surtain II at 9. So I don't know if it was him or not. It might have been somebody else, but I just remember the GM saying, hey, I got a better offer on the other line, man. And he just hung up on him. I gotta go. He hung up. Like, that's how shit gets done. Like, they're so aggressive. Everything is fast paced and fast flowing. They don't have time to sit there and have a full-fledged conversation with you. Hey, what are you trying to give me? No, that's not enough. Hang up. So I brought this up because Matt Rule, there was a video, I think I saw it today. Yeah, it was today. Of Matt Rule and company in the Panthers war room, and when they're trying to make the decision on whether to trade out of 8 or take cornerback J.C. Horn. So they're monitoring the situation. They see that Penei Sewell is going to be the pick at 7. So they immediately start working the phones, and they try to figure out what's the best scenario for us. Are we going to take Horn? Are we going to take a deal? Does somebody have the right compensation to move up? And so the Vikings call Matt Rule and come. First of all, Matt Rule, he's not with the shits. Love me some Matt Rule. I told you he's going to change things in Carolina. But anyway, because we all saw some of the other clips from Matt Rule, including the really cool one when he drafted the, I want to say it was a long snapper. And he was like, hey, dude, you coming or what? And he was like, I got to make a decision, coach. I got to figure out. He's like, no, man, you coming or what? I drafted you. He's like, stop, coach. No way. Seriously, I drafted you, man. Are you coming or what? Like, that's pretty damn cool, man. But Matt Rule's on the phone with the Vikings GM, Rick Spielman. And Spielman calls with the Vikings at the time were at 14. Remember, they traded back with the Jets to, I think the Jets were 21st overall. And so they traded back with the Jets and allowed the Jets to come up and take Elijah Vera Tucker. But they were at 14 at the time, still had the 14th pick. And they wanted to give the Panthers for 8 overall, 14, 90, and 143. And immediately Matt Rule says, what did I tell you already? Don't call me with negative numbers, with negative value numbers, negative chart numbers. And he hung up. Like, savage stuff, man. I love it. Like, so just to give you a quick breakdown, when you look at the draft chart that Jimmy Johnson came up with, and I think it's been kind of finagled with and fine-tuned to fit today's NFL. However, it's still a core principle of what the picks in the draft, what point value they carry, each pick. So the 8th overall pick in the draft carries a point value of 1,400 draft points. So if you want to make a trade, and not all trades are created equal, much like I talked about earlier in the show, where not everybody's situation is equal. Just because one guy has this doesn't mean you should be able to have it. Just because one trade looks like this doesn't mean your trade is going to look exactly like that. So every trade isn't strictly based off of the point chart, but it is a reference point for you to start. Anyway, Matt Rule is a stickler for the chart, apparently. And he's like, don't call me with negative chart value. And so the 8th pick in the draft, which the Panthers held in the 2021 NFL draft, was 1,400 points. The Vikings tried to give them 14, which is 1,100 points, 90, which is 140, and 143, which is 34.5 points, which totals up to 1,274.5 draft points, which is 125 or so less, 126.5 to be exact, but 125 draft points short of what 8 is valued at. And he's like, look, don't call me with that shit, okay? Don't call me with a whole bunch of picks that don't equal up to the 8th pick in the draft. You're not getting the 8th pick for the trash you just want to toss me. Okay, you got to sweeten the deal. You want this pick, you're going to have to give me something that I can sink my teeth into. So I just find all of those different interactions in the draft war room to be fascinating, and I could watch it all day long. And so every single one of these draft war room videos that has come up since the draft has passed, I've watched them, and I just find myself amazed every time that I watch. Anyway, I digress. Got another super chat, but that's going to wrap up the 164th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. My guy Kevin, the PRF, has a super chat here, and it reads, first and foremost, thank you for the super chat, Kevin, the PRF. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Kevin, the PRF, writes, the problem with that can of worms is that there are a ton of players that could have dwarfed Hester, but they were also good players on offense/defense. Well, that's not Devin Hester's problem. His specialty was on special teams, and he excelled at a level that no one else in NFL history has. No one has even remotely close to the amount of returns for touchdowns that Devin Hester has. It's not his problem that someone might have been dynamic, like a Deion Sanders, for instance, might have had a bunch of returns had he just returned punts in his career. He didn't. That's not Devin Hester's problem. You're not opening up a can of worms, Kev. You're letting a guy get in based off of his merit. He did that. He does. It's not his problem that a player that might have been a prolific punt returner decided they wanted to play defense, and they were so good on defense that the team took them off of special teams. Generally speaking, if you're that dynamic as a return man and they take you off of it because you're too valuable on your respective side of the football, then that probably means you should be having a Hall of Fame career on that side of the ball. So when I think of guys that could have had a illustrious career as return men, most of them are Hall of Famers already. Deion Sanders, Darrell Green, these were guys that were exceptional punt returners, but their team valued them more as defensive players, so they took them off of punt return. And there are probably some offensive guys, but there aren't many offensive guys that started out as punt returners and were so good at it, but they were even better on offense, so they took them off of punts. I can't think of many guys like that. Most return guys are return guys that you hope you get something out of them as offensive players. You know, a really good player in the league right now as a return man, he's been really good his entire career, is Andre, oh, shucks. I can't think of his name. Played with Washington, played with the Arizona Cardinals. He's in Buffalo right now. He's really good at returning kicks. You know, it is what it is. Tyreek Hill and Deshaun Jackson are two really good examples of guys that could be dynamic punt returners, but the teams opted to put them on special team or on offense. Those are good examples, but it is what it is. If you're that good, then become a Hall of Fame offensive player. So trust me, a team wouldn't take you off of punts if you're that dynamic unless you served a greater purpose to the team. So again, Devin Hester deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Andre Roberts, thank you. Andre Roberts is a dynamic return man right now in the league. So is Cordero Patterson. But those guys aren't really influential and impactful players on the offensive side of the football. They're special teams guys, essentially. Same with Joshua Cribbs and Dante Hall. Those guys weren't impactful players on offense. You know, every now and again, Dante Hall would get you on a play, but he was a special teams guy. And that's okay. So, anyway, I digress. Thank you for joining me on the 164th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I look forward to chopping it up with you next week. We will not have another podcast until Wednesday. Obviously, Monday is Memorial Day, so there will be no content, more likely than not, coming out of this channel. Maybe there will be an unboxing video or something like that, but there will be no podcast for your consumption on Monday, but we'll be back at it on Wednesday next week. As the next time I see you, more likely than not, it will be June. We'll have turned the calendar to the month of June, and looking forward to watching a bunch of NBA playoffs, kicking it with my fiance, and just having a good time amongst family and friends. Hopefully, you'll be doing a lot of the same. Until then, I'm your man, Louie T. Signing off, make sure that if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit that like button. Over 80 of you out there, only 38 likes. We can do way better than that. So if you haven't smashed that like button, please do so on the way out. I greatly appreciate you. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys enjoy the holiday weekend. I will see you next week. Take care.
LouieTeeNetwork.